All right, so Cookies in Christ is a live Bible study, basically two friends reading the Bible together and really dissecting it from our point of view. And right now we are currently in Job, and this is our first for 2022. So we've been doing this since 2019. So going strong, and we are in Job 12. So today we're doing 12 through 31. That is not on the screen, but y'all heard my voice. And Morgan is leading today, so I'm excited about that. I always like when she leads. So go ahead, Morgan, take it away. 2019. Feedback. Feedback.
All right. So for those of you guys who hopefully had a chance to catch up from last month's session, we are in the story of Job, and basically Job is this grand dude, and he's being tested by God and Satan. In the course of a day, he basically loses everything, and his three homies pull up to comfort. I don't know if you ever comfort him, but they not doing a good job. I mean, we touched on some of the ways that they came for my man very hard. And excuse me, y'all. The remainder of these chapters, after where we left off, they basically just repeating themselves. And they give him, I don't want to say it's bad advice, but basically they did just take turns leaning on my man. And what happens is that they mistakenly blame his current state of being on saying that he's sinning, rather than thinking it of a thing of like, oh, God is testing him, or that Job is growing. And so one of the things that I kind of picked up during this thing is that it's not that what they were saying is wrong, air quote. It's just that it don't apply. Like if Johnny Cocker was in the courtroom, he would say, if the glove don't fit, you know, there was a conversation there where I forgot which one of them said, oh, God wanted to humble him. But that was just a part of God's test. And they just insisted that his suffering was just the punishment of the sin of like his life or his children's life. And in summary, even though Job was frustrated, he was fed up, he was depressed, he was all those things, he never fully turned his back on God. And that was it. So if I go through some of the sections, Job 12:12, 2 through 3. My man Job is fed up. All right. Job 12:2, he started off with, you people. Now, anytime somebody say, you people, you people, you already know they not really feeling what you throwing out. Like, you people know everything, don't you? Like, y'all just swear y'all know everything. And then in verse 3, he was like, well, I know a few things. Myself basically saying, like, y'all not telling me anything that I don't know. I think it's important that we remember that Job was just, he had his own relationship with God. Remember, when we started off this book, Job was praying for his kid just in case they might have stayed out past curfew. Like, he was
a big curfew. They had a party or something.
Yeah, like he grasped the concept of sin and he knew what was righteous. So, you know, it was just like I said, his friends weren't saying wrong things. It just didn't apply. Job 13:6. Job 13:3 through 6. He was like, that's all fine and good, but I'm gonna go ahead and just speak to God because I want to talk to him. And he was like, if y'all were doctors, y'all are worthless. Like, y'all, basically, he was just like, y'all not helping me. Y'all don't know what y'all doing. And he repeatedly just goes through, like, each time one of his friends comes to him, he just like, yo, just stop. He goes through a period in which he like literally tells his friends what he needs and they aren't listening. So 13:13, he was like, be quiet. He said, be silent and leave me alone. They ain't listen. Why they ain't leave him alone? Just leave him alone. 16:2. He was like, let me flip my page. 16:2. What miserable comforters you are.
I have that.
16:5. If it were me, he's literally saying, y'all are not being good friends. If it were me, I would encourage you to try to take away your grief. Like he was telling them, y'all aren't helping me. Like y'all aren't being friends. I understand what y'all are saying. That's all fine and good. But right here in this moment, y'all not doing it for me. 19:3. What do you say? You have insulted me 10 times. You should be ashamed of how you treating me. And even if I did sin, that's none of your business. Like, that's what he's saying. And it's just like, those things stuck out to me as far as like, all right, they came for him. They trying to give him advice, air quote, or comfort him. It's not working. He's tired. He's sick and tired. And not only is he sick and tired of their bad advice, but he's trying to tell them, y'all aren't being good friends to me. I don't need this right now. So then after that, he moves into, he about to poke holes in their ideas. And so one of the sections that really stuck out to me was like in Job 21, where he questions like the good and evil, like how evil people still win. But because they basically are saying, because he has done something wrong, that's why he's sinning. He's like, but there are so many evil people out here and they are winning. And it's just like, how can you say that when we have this person over here? My man literally just killed 3,000 people, but it looked like he all right. And so a lot of times we compare our lives and our struggles and what we have done to other people's things, but it's like, you can't compare apples to oranges. Everybody's journey is a little different, right? Then moving on, keep on moving. I'm moving fast, y'all, because a lot of this is very, very repetitive. Again, they just kept repeating themselves and they know what they was talking about. We take it to Job 27. And Job 27:5. I read this in Chris Tucker's voice. He said, do you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth? I will never, ever agree with y'all. I'm not gonna say y'all right. I'm gonna defend myself. I haven't sinned. He basically is like, just stop it, because that's where it is, or whatever. So, and that's under his final speech in our book. Is titled a section. He's like, I'm gonna just end it with this. Y'all can save all that noise. I ain't never agreeing with what y'all saying. And I'm pretty sure he should have just did a hair flip and walked away, but no.
A hair flip. He pulled out all his hair.
I'm sure he had a struggle strand somewhere. Drove home the point, dropped the mic. I don't know. Yeah. Also, in this section, or going to this section, like, I picked up a lot on the concept of wisdom and understanding, which can kind of get lost in the story of Job. But I think that is a key topic or underlying theme, like looking for wisdom and understanding. And I want to kind of come back to that for my takeaways after Kelly gives her input, because Job goes into like this full soliloquy about like he reflecting back on, you know, how he was such a good person. He did all these things you want him to do. He was kind. He was just. He literally helped everybody. Like he just brought back like, I was so good. And then now that the tables are turned, it's not even that he lost everything, but it's that he lost everything, and the same people that he helped when he had it all are now clowning him. And they just like looking at him like he's trash and he's filth. His own friends are, you know, accusing him of being like a sinner and a liar and, you know, all these things. And so that makes it hurt even more, because it's not only that you're going through the situation, but it's like everyone's turned their back on you. So that's pretty much my summary.
Okay, no, very, very well done. All of the little extras and the characters that came through. I, chuckled and jumped and all this other stuff because I had some of the same notes like I pick up into. And when you said you people, I said Joe put them in their place. And it's just really hard to sit there and listen to somebody go in on you, and you know good and well that they don't know what they're talking about. And yet they're having this whole conversation. I said, for 13:3, I was like, you take your issues to the source, the one who really can change it. And that's when he decided to do, like, I'm about to talk to God about this. I don't have many more words for y'all. And that's definitely something that I would take from this if I were in a situation where, friends aren't giving good advice. You just can't seem to get a good grip on why something is the way it is, you definitely should have already had a conversation with God. You should have prayed about it and things like that. So him saying he's gonna go to God to argue his case, I thought was the best thing to do. Although it continues, like he still responds to his friends and things like that, which again, it's hard to hear somebody, talking and they just there. Um, let me see. It was interesting that in Job 13:13, it seemed like he assumed that God was angry at him. And that's why I'm glad we have the book of Job, so we don't assume those same things, because you would kind of assume like, wow, what did I do to make God so mad at me, where he would do this, that, and the third, and that's not always the case. um let's see. So Eliphaz in Job 15, I just put why. So why are you arguing about it if this man's sin and hardship is with God? Like, if you know that his situation is between him and God, then you don't need to plow him into the ground with the situation. And for him to call Job a windbag, I kind of understood that. Okay. Because we also on the outside of Job and listen to Job go in and in and in about the woe is me thing. And it's very rightfully so that he should be able to do this because he's feeling some kind of way. But I did feel the word, like when he was like, you are nothing but a windbag. I wouldn't say nothing but windbag as in, um, for our terms, maybe talking out the side of your neck, or saying a whole bunch of words that mean something, like have little meaning. Like you could have, said what you said and kept it moving. But so I don't know if I would have been so short with my friend after hearing them go on and on and on about how bad they felt about something. But if I'm not adding to them feeling better, like if I'm not the encouraging friend that I need to be, then I mean, that's just their situation. Um, I really looked at Job 15:15. It says, look, God doesn't even trust the angels. Even the heavens are not absolute pure in his sight. And when you read it like that, it's like, wow, but angels have fallen. Like that is a situation. Um it's just hold on, what was the point that I had there? I think that's all. I just made a note that angels have fallen, and that, that was something that I just wanted to note, because at first reading it, it was like, wow. But then I was like, well, there is a whole gang of angels that just, decided that that wasn't going to be their thing. 16:2, same thing when he said miserable comforters. And I was like, they're condemning their friend instead of like comforting him. Um, let's see. When he says in 16:19, even now my witness is in heaven, my advocate is there on high. That's God. Um, Jesus. Um, I thought that was interesting because we do consider Jesus our advocate. Um, Further in 17, it says, you must defend my innocence, oh God, since no one else will stand up for me. And I took that as like calling on God. Like, so you're not going to be able to change the minds of other people around you. Sometimes you got to let stuff go. And that's definitely a God thing. Like, you can't help how somebody else sees you. You can't help that, you showed up to work and you're new, and your cube mate don't like you. You don't know why. That's sometimes it's nothing that you can really do. That's a God fix it please type of situation. But again, I feel like once you do that, you really do have to lean on faith and understand that God is going to do it in a time that he finds suitable to do it. Not God fix it and then you wait 5 minutes and nothing happens and then you're feeling some kind of way. um they have really harsh tones. Bildad, I'm sorry, in Job 18, how long before you stop talking? Speak sense if you want us to answer. Do you think we stupid? That's like harsh tones that they are speaking to him. And I'm like, I know this Bible is more so in how we speak. But I can imagine they didn't have kind tone and words for him. Um the point of 17:10 I thought was interesting. It's like earthly success and prosperity are not a reward for faith in God. So sometimes we may think the same thing that they're thinking, oh, because Job did something wrong, obviously that's why stuff is happening wrong in his life. And the opposite can also be something that people take in, which is, oh, they're prosperous and they're doing well. Obviously, they're pleasing God. That does not mean that you are pleasing God because you are rich or because you are well off or because you are successful. It could be the very opposite, depending on how you got those riches and everything. Um, so I thought that that was interesting as well. Um, 1935 about pointing out somebody else's faults and sin and how it's easy. Like it's easy for his friends to look at him and be like, because we see you going through something, we feel like this, that, and the third. But there very well are other people going through hardships and silent that may also have been in that situation, or they're not having any troubles and they're in that situation, like we spoke about before. And like Morgan said, it's a lot of repeating themselves. I also had Job 19:4. Even if I sinned, that's not your concern. Like he's trying to like push them away, like, okay, leave me alone. I I've heard of this saying right here, and I didn't know. That's what I said. I didn't know that this was a biblical saying, and it says, "I have escaped death by the skin of my teeth." And I've heard people say that all the time. If you want to know where that is in the Bible, that is 19:20. So that you can quote that. You can be like, "That's Bible." Job said it. Now his friend Zophar or Zophar, um, in 22, he's like, I must reply because I'm greatly disturbed. Like, but like he's like, my spirit prompts me to reply. And I was like, really? Like your spirit is telling you that you gotta say something to this man. Like, why don't you just let this go? Or at least let him be. You've already heard everybody else's regard for the situation. Just, just at some point in time, let that go. Um let me see. It was seeming like Eliphaz in 22 was like, you will pray for him and he will hear you, or pray to him and he will hear you. That seemed the most positive that I heard of any of his friends. If people are in trouble and you say help them, God will save them. Even sinners can be rescued. That was like a little bit of light on the situation. And I think that might be, hold on, let me see. I too was in wisdom, and I highlighted how it's more valuable than gold and crystal. Um, it's far above rubies, meaning like wisdom is powerful. Wisdom is worth it. Um, and we do know that God is the source of our wisdom, but we also need to take account that he will only reveal things that we need to know. Like we don't need to know certain things. So sometimes our why is not going to be answered. And as much as we might want to know, like, why my child, or why, whatever the case may be, that's not always going to be an answer that we receive. It's all in the wisdom that he wants to reveal to us. Let me see. He will still be there. Um, when Job is speaking of his former blessings, I think I'm not sure I have to reflect on like his tone, but I think it's okay to reflect on things that God has blessed you with so that you feel better about your situation as current. Just like having a gratitude journal and you look back and it helps you feel grateful for what you have and what you've gone through, what you grow through. And so him speaking on his former blessings, I thought that was, to me, I thought it was okay for him to be doing. That was like a upside to everything. I have little notes, but I don't know if they're worth it. It hurts. Okay, no. Nope. None of the notes are past 3. So that will be all for me. Similar, just a little bit of other nuggets, but same thing. It's really repetitive in his friends. And honestly, Job is repetitive as well, in his woes. and his conversations and how he don't want to hear from them and things like that. So it's something that I still feel like you might read it and be like, wow, but it's still meat in there. So that was all for me.
Yeah, definitely repetitive. I would have walked away from them a long time ago. I mean, I think his hut was still standing, not his kid's hut, so I just would have left. Um, but some of the major takeaways I had, number one was like on friendship and comforting. So like Job's friends assumed that his suffering was a direct result of sin. And their harsh tone, like, because you mentioned most of the times about them talking harsh to him, but it's like, all right, I come to you and I'm pregnant, but I tell you I'm a virgin. Shout out to Murray. You're going to be looking like, so you ain't had no sex. None. No sex, Morgan. And
That
I'm,
happens though. People wake up pregnant. That happens. The
yeah,
doctors,
but 9 times out of 10, like if I'm sitting here telling you there was no P in the V, and you telling me, and I'm telling you, and you know what I'm saying, like your experience, your knowledge, everything that you know is saying, ain't no way, ain't no way. You're going to get irritated by me continuously claiming innocence or that I haven't, done anything. So trying to understand that the tone that they had or the irritation that they felt because they are all seemingly faithful or followers of the Lord and know, sinning is wrong and different things. So they're doing what they believe is the best, which is giving advice. But I mean,
not that way. Like
listen, what they believe is the best. The thing that ticks me off is, and what made the conversations go so long is they basically got mad that Job just didn't accept their answers and was like, yeah, y'all right. Like that's what made it. That's what like added the fluid to the flame and like made it explode.
Well, I have learned like I can feel me maturing, and I really feel like I am not going to allow somebody to make me that upset. If I'm trying to help you, and even if I feel like I'm right, even if I felt like what I was saying was correct, if you're not receiving it, then that's just what it is. It's like, hey, you're pregnant. Obviously, something happened. Maybe we should go check the tapes. Maybe something happened in the doctor's office. You got, the filling done that they put you to sleep and you woke up like this, like something happened. And you was like, no, it's a miracle from God. And I was like, yeah, that happened. But this could be different. Like if I am so persistent and then you resisting makes me that level of upset, then I need to walk away. Like I'm like, why didn't his friend, like that can cause you to stumble. Now you upset and y'all saying some outlandish, like y'all going hard on your friend, and it can cause you to start acting out of character, basically. Because you're just that mad, and anything that makes you that mad, like relationships can be like that. Anybody that makes you that mad, or any situation that makes you that mad, like if your job, like if you work, and I'm just going to say this because a lot of people know trucking, like truckers, that's their language, that's just what they say and do sometimes. If that's the environment and that's the culture, then you need to remove yourself from the situation. And so as a friend, I'd have just gracefully bowed out and say, you know what, I don't think I'm gonna be of much help, but I can help you physically. Like, he was sitting there in pain too. So I'm just gonna be quiet. I'm gonna let you say your things to God. And if I can't take the way that you are talking to God in my presence, then I'm gonna explain that, and then I'll be back to check on you here and then, just so I can keep me intact. I can't lose me trying to help you, because that's exactly what they're doing. They probably were some upstanding dudes before they felt like God was under attack and they needed to come help God.
I feel like they still are upstanding guys. They just not the best friends. So my takeaway, just for anybody in just friendships or relationships, not even just friendships, but any type of relationship, silence. I capitalize it. Silence before speech.
Yeah, think about it. Write it down. Tell somebody else and
Silence
then come tell the person.
before speech, especially when you're trying to comfort somebody that's going through a tough time. And I had a side note in here because, like, I know, and I've shared with you guys on previous things, like when I go through things with my illness or different things of that nature, I be silent because I don't even want to hear what nobody got to say. And not that Job ain't sent on no SOS, the word just got around. Thank God we had phones and they'd be like, do not disturb, and you can just ignore people or I hit y'all back later. Because I wouldn't hung around for 30 chapters of this. Absolutely not.
Like, yeah, you making my Bible story mad long for no reason. Just making my this
If
is
this was
unnecessary.
Morgan, it would have been, what is it? Is it Esther or Ruth? Who got that super short one?
Oh, that's Ruth.
That would have been this. If this was Morgan, it would have been.
The book of Ruth be like, stop, finish.
Exactly.
Straight to the point.
Because we wouldn't have been having all this back and forth. And just, good friendships are hard to find. I do feel like they had good intentions. Because if you guys remember, they came after they heard and they sat with my man in complete silence for a week.
Mm-hmm.
That's diehard friendship.
That's when they was friends.
That's what I'm saying. Silent. They did. So technically, they were silent. But the moment he decided to say something, boy, I don't know if 7 days was too long to think about what they wanted to say, and they just.
I've been waiting 7 days to tell you my heart. That's what everybody. Now is the time.
Yeah, get him. And then the second thing, because we both touched on the thing about wisdom and understanding,
Okay, yeah, that's
is
fine.
that in here, like this story about Job, it to me it brought up like that age old question about bad things happening to good people, or how we mentioned before about the old Christian logic that if you don't sin or if you do good, that you'll never be tested and that you'll always be in God's favor and that gold will rain down on you and rainbows and unicorns and all the things. But the truth is that God allows pain, and we have to come to accept that he may never reveal what those reasons are. And I love that even in this story, we see that Job is upset. He, questions God. He talks directly out to him. He cries out to him, but he never speaks defamatory. Like he never denounces him, or like he talks about all of his power, all of his wisdom. He talks about all the great things that God is, but never once turns into like this, I don't believe in there is such a God or anything. And I think that that's important when we're going through our own, struggles. Hopefully never as bad as Job's bad day. But
when you said bad day, it reminded me of training day. Like all this happened in a day. But it didn't happen in just a day, but that the part about him losing his family and all of that did happen in a day. But
yeah,
all of
that whole thing happened in a day. So like when we wonder why God might allow something and we question and doubt, the things, because we can't see the full picture. We can only see what's happening to us, our tunnel vision, or like our narrow scope of the bigger picture. But I really feel like the book of Job, well, up until this point, is teaching us just to trust God, and to develop a strong enough faith that can withstand low moments. Because we don't, I think people say they trust God when they understand. But what about when you don't understand? I feel like that's when you need the most trust. Because you'd be like, all right, what now? Like, what's going on? So those were like my major takeaways from this section, especially, and it really didn't click until I got to section 28 when Job spoke about wisdom and understanding. And in our book, there's this cute little section at the bottom of 118 talking about where wisdom can be found. And I like how they outlined each person in their view of wisdom, like the source, how that source of their view of wisdom impacted their attitude toward God. And I don't know if you looked at that chart, Kelly, but I personally feel like it can be a combination of all of these. However, true wisdom, as far as navigating your own life, I feel like Job's perspective is the best. So, like, Eliphaz says wisdom is learned by observing and just experiencing life, which is true. I mean, you live and you learn, right? But he basically says that basically through experience, that's how he knows. So, experience, if I touch the hot stove, I know I'm going to get burned. What about the person who is wise enough to know that that person touched the hot stove? I don't need to touch it. Like,
you learn from somebody else.
yeah. And that is what Bildad was. Bildad was, I'm going to learn from the past. Last week, my man touched the hot stove. I don't need that. I saw that blister. I don't need that. And so he blew that. It's like, oh, trust those who have gone through that already. So I won't repeat them past mistakes. We don't need that. And then Zophar was like, wisdom is just belonging to the wise. Either you got it or you not. Either you a smart person or you a fool.
Who is always the hard?
And he was like, he was just like, either you smart or you dumb, and it's only a handful of us smart people. So, except for some, I do agree that some people are what I would like to call naturally discerning, and they just have that. But I also feel like discernment is something that you can learn, which is why I come to Job when he was just like, God does reveal His wisdom, or sometimes He doesn't, but it's okay because we just rely on Him. That's where that trust comes from. That's where that faith comes from, and just being wise enough to know that you will not always have a full understanding of everything that's occurring at one particular moment. Anything else you have for the people?
No, it's that same thing. On the other side of that, it says the ultimate interpretation of life, of who we are and where we're going, must come from outside or above our mortal life. Basically, seeking God's wisdom, as revealed in the Bible. So, studying and learning His Word, accepting the Holy Spirit, listening to the Spirit, does help guide you and keep you, in line. And when things don't go according to what you feel or how you thought or whatever the case may be, you do have that peace and understanding that, God is true wisdom. So you don't really have to lean on your own understanding or the understanding of others. And this is really some crazy situation where you really wouldn't have understood it either way. I've looked at certain things like your eyes are deceiving. I've seen a car accident. Well, it wasn't even a car accident. It's what I thought would have been a car accident, but I don't know what kind of way. But this motorcycle, two cars are going like this, and the motorcycle, some kind of way, was on the other side, and he was fine. And I was like, wow. According to regular logic and what I know of things hitting each other and demolishing themselves, I would have thought this would have been the outcome. And that's how we may look at our situation and our lives. I did this, and that. Surely this is the result I'm going to get. And when we don't get a certain result, or some kind of wrench or some kind of curve is thrown into our plan or our life, sometimes we may, sway in our faith. And that's what you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to lean on your own understanding. You have to have that relationship with God to keep that understanding, of faith and peace in Him alive. Otherwise, like you shouldn't be running to this book like, oh goodness, my house on fire. Now, what the Lord say? It's like I already have that relationship. I already know that when things are on fire, this is what I'm supposed to do. It's okay to go and pray, of course. But if you were already here, it's not like you flipping through frantically trying to figure out, or now you trying to have a relationship with God in the next 5 minutes. Let me hurry have this relationship with God so He can fix it all. And it's just, we can fall victim to that if we don't have this consistent and genuine relationship with God, is what I would say, as far as like understanding where true wisdom is coming from. And when it said like it's the value of it, is there. So I mean, it's definitely something to learn from. I mean, Job is not, he's blameless, but he's not sinless. So it's not like you can't say, oh, well, why does that happen to good people? Who is good people? The judge of good people is the one allowing things to happen in your life to grow you anyway. So how foolish of us to think that we know more and know all. And that's what they were kind of like testing each other. Like, well, you know this, well, then you know that type of thing. And who has the better relationship with God, or who is closer to God, and things like that. It seems very hard to have this kind of conversation, and I would hope to never have to defend my faith. And I understand where he's coming from. Like, God, please talk to them. Like, let them know. Like, I'm cool. Like, let them know. Like, what if you told them, Lord, that you're testing me? Like, if you said it, surely they would shut up. Like, get them all. Not only am I already going through the pain and suffering that you have me going through, but now they're added stress to me. Like, do something about them. Like he didn't even ask about like bring the kids back. Just take them away. Like be gone type of situation. So I understand that. And I just really thought this is like one of my, I don't want to say it's my favorite. It is something that I greatly learned from in the Bible when I was reading Job. It really does help me process a lot of just regular life because it's going to happen. Not this, like on this magnitude, hopefully, but like just death will happen, some kind of loss, something will go sideways for sure. Um, and I think this book is very helpful for helping you get through a situation like that. That is all for me. I thought I had a point, but I really couldn't find it, and I have different highlights, but I couldn't find it. But I think I definitely said what I came to say. Um, hmm. I hope you all. I did read somebody's comment on YouTube, like one of my recent YouTube video posts, and they were saying thank you. Either a YouTube video post or some post where I had this Bible, and they said that they really really appreciate us talking about it. I really do appreciate the notes, like how Morgan pointed out, um, the notes in the study Bible, the charts in the study Bible, and they really help me understand. Along with other resources that are out there, I definitely watch the Bible Project and things like that as well, and the Bible recap. But you just sitting down with this word and the Holy Spirit revealing stuff to you is awesome. But if you do need extra resources, a study Bible is very helpful to help you understand. Because if you're just reading this and it sounds redundant, you're probably missing some of the nuggets and why this is in the book. Like it's not in there just for fluff. It's in there because some of them are, well, people are pouring their heart out, and you should be learning from what they are saying. Like which one was the one, Bildad? You can learn from Job's situation. You don't necessarily have to go through it yourself to learn what's going on. Any last points for you, dear?
No, that's it. I'm excited to bring this home.
Ooh. All right, well, I'm doing 3. A young man answered Job. How would you say his name? Elihu?
Anywho,
Elihu? And then without the HU, we then instead of Eli is Eli. Language is interesting. Okay, Job mad long. Hold on. Okay, so that's 32. 3 goes until, well, 5 is only like a couple.
it's 3, 4, and 5. You gonna close it out?
Where's
I mean,
4?
I don't know if you already. I mean, you did already go through.
Yeah, I already have notes. True, we can do.
You gonna close it out? We can
Yeah,
move on to another chapter.
yeah. I'll do 3, 4, and so that's the end of Job. So 32 through
42.
42. Yep, 32 to 42. So Job 32 to 42. Let me put that on there because I always go back and be like, let me make sure I'm studying the right thing. What does this say? 1 through 5.
It doesn't. It says 12 to 30.
Oh. Okay. There we go. All right. So that is it. All right. So we'll see you all. We do Cookies and Christ. The first Wednesday of each month live for my patrons, and then they have a chance to view it because it's weekday, so some people really can't be here, but they watch it themselves, and then I release it to the public I think 2 weeks after that. So the next one will be the first Wednesday of February, and that will be the closing of Job. We went through Job kind of quickly. Proud of us.
Anything's faster than Genesis.
Genesis was real long. I love Genesis. Oh my goodness, there's so much in there. It's so many stories. That was the book that was like, this book is on to something. I should definitely read this. So that's all. Bye people.